We start with this news just in. Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo has responded to the ANC's Integrity Commission, calling for him to step aside. He's accused of abusing his power by involving the Hawks in a personal matter. Political analyst Karima joins us now via Skype. Karima, thank you for joining us now. This response by Deputy Minister Masondo, he says in the beginning that he found out that he reported the matter to the wrong section of the police, which is weird, of course, for a Deputy Finance Minister to say that. He also says that, for instance, he reported himself to the Commission in September 2019, was told in November 2019 that nothing would be done, and now suddenly, of course, this week they tell him that he needs to step aside. What do you make of his response?
I think, Masejo, what is happening is that the Deputy Finance Minister, Mr. Masondo, is trying to, kick for touch. I think he thought he had the matter handled. As you can see from the correspondence, he actually says that the chairperson of the commission, the Integrity Committee, had told him that he had done nothing wrong. And then further on in that very correspondence, Masejo, he says that he did so. He went to the Hawks on the advice of his lawyer, and he cites two, constitutional provisions that he went there because he was being extorted by the person that claims that he forced her to have an abortion. And of course, he says, if he had participated in that extortion, according to his lawyer, that he would be party to a crime. And he accepts also in the letter that he might have erred. So I think what Mr. Masondo is trying to do, I think, is to negotiate with the Integrity Committee. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he's going to fall on his sword, as the committee has suggested, because clearly from the correspondence, Masejo, it looks like the Deputy Finance Minister was under a different impression.
That's right. I mean, he also even says that he's got proof of WhatsApp messages, texts and things like that. But of course, Karima, we can't talk about the ANC without looking at what's happened in the past week or a bit more with PPE corruption scandals. Now we're finding out that the Secretary General of the ANC, his two sons, have apparently gotten a tender, a PPE tender in the Free State. We know about KZN officials in the Premier's office being arrested this week because of a scandal dating back to 2013. And of course, even there's PPE scandals. There's, of course, the Kusela Diko and her husband PPE scandals, along with the health minister in Gauteng, Bandile Masuku. I mean, what is the ANC going to do about this? It looks like every single province and municipality is just doing whatever they want.
Masejo, I think you really outlined the full crisis that the African National Congress finds itself in. It is experiencing a crisis at several levels. For one, its brand is in tatters. We saw a day or so Futsak ANC trending on Twitter. Now, for a governing party in the midst of a pandemic, when thousands of people are sick and ill, when that is trending, that cannot be good for anyone's political brand. At a political level, it also certainly plays into the perception that the chickens have come home to roost in the African National Congress, that corruption is endemic in the party from the days of Jacob Zuma and state capture, and of course also now with the current PPE. And let me just say, for an organization that claims to be committed to fighting gender-based violence, for the Deputy Finance Minister and a former Finance Minister, Malusi Gigaba, to both be in the news relating to issues in their personal lives and their conduct in relation to women, of course, makes nonsense of the African National Congress's commitment to this cause. And these are also younger leaders. Many people believe that they were the faces of the generational change that we needed, away from your Jacob Zumas and the old grandees of the party. So the ANC in a full crisis, and I think this has very serious implications for the credibility of the leadership of Cyril Ramaphosa, who came in as Mr. New Dawn, the Tumamina president, And of course, now the organization sitting with a situation where almost every single senior member in a province, whether it is Free State tied to Old State capture, you have Ace Magashule's two sons involved in PPE scandals, KwaZulu-Natal, right in the Premier's office again. And then, of course, in the highest office in the land, the presidency itself has been engulfed in a massive crisis where Kusela Diko has been forced to take a leave of absence. And I think that for the organization, this is, a confluence of circumstances that almost leads to a perfect storm, if you like, Masego.
Well, Karima, of course, now we need to also talk about Ntateboy Mamabolo, the MP, with the ANC reacting yesterday to the fact that Sunday World journalist Ngwako Malachi had to open an intimidation case against the whole MP, recorded in a telephone conversation threatening a journalist to shoot him and kick him in the nuts.
Masego, often when politicians are under pressure, they resort to intimidation. We saw that with numerous political parties. And of course, the ANC is the latest now with Mr. Mamabolo being embroiled in this. But this pattern of intimidation goes across political parties. You will remember, for example, the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, who took my personal information and put it on blast on Twitter, and it resulted, for example, in people calling for me to be raped and sexually attacked, for my skin to be peeled off my body. And I think what we're seeing here now is an increase in that. There is a culture among politicians to bully, to intimidate, and to harass. They do it openly sometimes, others do it covertly. And I think we need to make sure that no politician is allowed to close down the democratic space. Media organizations and journalists and SANEF and others need to stand firm and come out and condemn the actions of Mr. Mamabolo and every other politician who threatens journalists who are doing their jobs. It is a really important for media freedom to reign, because if we do not shine the light, we would not have known, for example, that Ms. Kusela Diko and Bandile Masuko and his wife Loyiso were in fact business partners. And I think that this shows us that we should not take media freedom for granted, despite the fact that we have the best constitution, arguably, in the world.
Well, thank you very much. That was Karima Brown, political analyst, speaking to us, of course, about the week that the ANC has had.